Hi everybody, I'm Steve Emery. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Dangerous Goods and Petroleum Safety. Under the legislation and that sort of stuff, I'm the Minister's Delegate for Petroleum and also the Chief Dangerous Goods Officer. So critical risks, and the dangerous goods team work for me. And so we're very pleased to put on this, this forum to discuss human factors today. Let's go through. Let's see if I can get the things work. So before we start, you will need your phones, but please put them on silent. Which reminds me, I suppose I better do mine. The toilets are somewhere. Justine, where are the toilets? Where are the toilets? Out the back door. There we go. All right, cool. All neat. No smoking on the premises. The emergency procedures, because we're all safety professionals, the exits over there, there's the usual whoop, whoop, beep, beep type thing and that sort of stuff. And we'll all go out there and run away bravely. And I will follow the staff in terms of where we actually have to go. Please make sure you've scanned in using the Safe WA app. I am from the government, I'm here to help you. So please make sure you do it. The photography will take place, so if you don't want to have your photograph taken, then please let everybody know. Part of this is also being broadcast on a webinar as well, so if you don't want to be seen, keep out of the way of the camera. The camera is focused up here, but just be aware of that. The Wi-Fi password is that, and I'm not going to try and say that or pronounce that. So if you need it now, it's a good idea to quickly write it down because I'm just about to change the slide. Okay. 2, 1, go. All right, so COVID safe principles, let's practice physical distancing where possible. Hygiene, keeping your hands clean, sanitizer and stuff. This still is the 2 square metre rule per person capacity rule for venues, and this is one of them. So, if you are unwell, please leave. All right, and get tested if you're symptomatic. And sometimes people will say if they're working for me, they should get tested anyway. And of course, have the Safe WA app downloaded, which means that you should have had it to actually log on in the first place. So, an acknowledgement of country. So I'd like to acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as traditional custodians of the land on which we deliver our services. And that's all over Australia. And we certainly pay our respects to elders and leaders past, present and emerging from that sort of space. I will actually add to that, and I'd like to pass my respects to you guys as leaders that are emerging in our world. So it's a bit of an add-on. Okay, today's program, unfortunately I'm the MC, so you get to see and hear from me a lot. So, you've all got the program. I go on for 15 minutes, and seeing as it's 10 past now, it's probably a good thing. And we have a range of speakers all day today, so that's really cool, and it's going to be great. There are breaks through and lunch, and then we'll finish around about the 2:15, 2:30 mark, somewhere there. I think everybody's got the program as part of your packs and stuff like that. This is an interactive thing. This isn't just people standing up the front and talking. We do like, it's an opportunity to participate, group breaks, results, all that sort of stuff. Please go to Slido on your devices and enter the code there. It enables you to do things like, write questions down and stuff like that, which is great. As well as, rate us and, give your feedback in terms of everybody and how everybody's going and all that sort of stuff. And I'm the regulator, so guess what? You all love me. Okay, opening remarks. And so, let's get into it, unless you've got anything else to say. Okay, cool. All right, so welcome everybody to the Human Factors Forum. It's great to see so many people here today. And to those people that have dialed in, welcome. I'm sure the reason for the large turnout today is basically because of the topic and the interest that we all have in this, and it's got nothing to do with it being Friday, a lovely day, and a pub next door. Before starting too much, I'd like to firstly thank Justine McGilvray for all the work that she's done, put in organising this event and bringing us all together here today. It's been, thank you. Well done. And thanks to the safety comms team for everything they're putting together in terms of, you know, the assistance in the AV and all that sort of stuff. And I'd like to thank all the presenters today for standing up and actually giving their experiences and sharing with us today. You know, I'm really looking forward to hearing it. There's a lot of stuff that we'll all learn, I'm sure, from all of this. So thank you. So why are we here today? I reckon that, you know, if I went around and asked every single person here today, do you think human factors is important? Every one of you would say, yeah, absolutely it is. You know, human factors is, you know, is a key process, it's a key activity. And, you know, you'd then go into detail about why it is and have examples and all that sort of stuff. You know, so fundamentally, this is preaching to the converted. You know, we all know that human factors are important, you know, and it's a key element in delivering safety. You know, so the intent today is not to try and convert you to the cause. You know, what I want you all to do though, you know, is fundamentally leave here today with really two things. Firstly, is an understanding of where our, as in the department's interest, is coming from, what we're interested in, why we're interested in it. And secondly, and probably more importantly, it's an opportunity to hear from others within industry about their experiences and what they're seeing and how they're actually dealing with human factors. And so to learn and find out what's actually happening out there in our industry space. I don't want to convince you about human factors. I don't need to. It's great. But I do want you to be able to go back to your bosses, your finance departments, your workforce, you know, whoever, and to be able to say, not only do we need to do this, but it's important and why. Even if it is just to go back and say that, you know, that crazy regulator that started talking about it, and that's because that's what they want. And each year I write to everybody here a letter outlining what I want the inspectors to focus on for the forthcoming year. Last year I talked about human factors in the letter and how we had Justine come on board to, you know, expand our human factors capabilities. But also I might have mentioned that really the first time in that letter, words human factors. Human factors have been one of the key drivers behind what we do and some of the points in those letters for many, many years. The classic example is, you know, each year I say, you know, that I'm going to tell my inspectors to challenge you every time that they find something to ask you the question, why did I find it and not you? Now, why do I do that? Why do I ask that? Because, yeah, it's a prompt for you to go and look at your internal audit system and ask why it didn't work and why I didn't find it. And then to find the human error that caused the problem to be missed in the first place and then fix it and do something about it so that problem doesn't manifest itself somewhere else in your system. Everything we do is intrinsically tied up with human factors. Human factors is not something off to one side. It's not a box ticking exercise. It's not a training course that we do or anything like that. It's integral in every single system that we have. When you look at every single incident, deviation, variation, what have you, you know, whether it be safety, finance, business, sport, booking, you name it, you know, there's always one common factor. At some point in the process, there was a human being involved who made an error. Whether that was an error by admission, you know, a mistake, whatever, it doesn't matter. Somewhere there was a human error. The whole point behind human factors and the human factors approach that we all take is to improve the reliability and predictability of the most unreliable, error-prone, troublesome part of any system that we have. And that's the human beings that designed it, maintained it, operated it, and used the systems that we do. Right? If you look at all our jobs, if we didn't have humans out there working, we'd not have a job. Because we wouldn't need things like HSRs and design people and safety people and all that sort of stuff. And there wouldn't be problems. The reason why we exist in the first place is because of the humans and the influence of humans on our systems. You know, from my perspective, I can't tell you the number of LOPAs or safety analyses or anything like that I've seen that give us probabilities of failures of things like 10 to the minus 13, 10 to the minus 14, or even higher. Yeah. Statements like, no one will ever dig up a pipeline, or this valve will always close correctly, or our people are precisely trained and will always do exactly the right thing in an emergency, or we know exactly what we're doing, right? How many times we have heard those sort of statements? And, you know, if you were in my seat, you'd sit there and just go, nah, hang on guys, haven't thought about this. You know, the number of times where I've seen, you know, analyses that are absolutely perfect and say these things are wonderful, and forgetting the human being that's actually involved. So the challenge that I want to give to all of you today really is really quite simple. It's about us moving beyond identifying the cause of failure as being human error. James Reason, in his 12 principles of error management, says that human error is a consequence. It's not a cause of failure. And it's a really good way of thinking about it. Too many times I've read investigation reports or you know, understanding or analysis from, you know, industry where, you know, corrective action reports as a result of a, you know, inspection or an audit or something like that. And the cause is determined to be human error, and the corrective action that's been taken is the person's been retrained. You know, so what? Who cares? You know, why did the system allow that to happen in the first place? You know, let's fix that problem. You know, I've used an analogy many times over my years. I've got a bolt here, and most people have probably seen it. I've got a bolt here. There's 8 nuts on it. You know, there's only one way to take all those nuts off. But putting it all back together, there's 16 factorial, as in 2 to by 10 to the 13, different ways of putting that back together again. If this was a safety critical component, whose fault is it, you know, that the maintenance person didn't put it back together correctly? Is it the maintenance person? Is it the designer that came up with this stupid arrangement? You know, is it the person who wrote the maintenance instructions, the supervisor? You know, whose fault is it? Or is it the system that even allowed this in the first place? That allowed this to be created to exist? You know, I'd argue that it's actually the system that's the fault. You know, and the reason why is we need to be hunting for problems like that, because the problem like that created something like this as a safety critical has probably created a whole bunch more that we don't know about. We all work in an industry that quite rightly prides itself on being proactive in safety and aware of the impacts of, you know, error and the need for things like error-resistant systems and high reliability organisations and things like that. You know, we are at the forefront of things like, you know, human factors and safety, and it's excellent. It really is. It's clearly shown in our exceptional safety record. You know, it is wonderful to be able to sit there and go, you know, how many fatalities have happened in our industry versus others. You know, and we should be very proud of the success that we've actually had and what we've all achieved. And I want to say to you, ladies and gents, that you are the true champions of that success. It's nothing to do, you know, the regulators, yes, we've helped, but it's actually you guys, the people, you guys and girls, because you guys are on there, right there at the coalface. We in the department are increasingly focusing on human factors, not because it's new or trendy or we've just read the textbook or something like that, but because of that success. We want to normalise and embed human factors thinking across our industry. You know, we want to expand the thinking of human factors from beyond words like ergonomics, fatigue, sexual harassment, HR issues, or all those other buzzwords that people think. Human factors is a system, it's a philosophy. It's not about the design of this. It's about how we all go about our business and from cradle to grave in a system. As I said, it's a total systemic approach to improving the reliability of our people and the systems around them to give us, in this particular case, from our focus, a better safety outcome. So enjoy today. You know, this isn't school, so it's our opportunity really to discuss and debate and learn from each other. Please use it. You know, I encourage you to do so. As the MC and sponsor of the forum, I would just want to impose one rule, and, you know, to the regulators as well. You can say whatever you want, fear or favour. We're not going to take notes. You know, the doors are closed. You know, this is just happens within here. You know, if you're really worried, we'll go to the bar afterwards. All right. I'm not going to take any actions. I really don't care. I don't care if you air dirty laundry, whatever, anything like that. I'm not interested. For me, it's about us talking about stuff. You know, nobody's going on record. Or if you want to, you can. So I'm standing up here to be on record and say, yes, I want to be on record saying it's not on record. So, I have no problem with that. So as MC, please, let's all engage with this and let's really bring it out into people and stuff like that. If I was going to tell a story from my side, the number of times that we've made mistakes and errors, within the department, where we've sat there and we've looked at stuff, and made an assessment on particular things on a safety case review or something like that, where then the second person's going, what the were you thinking? Every day I sit there and I'll write something to you guys. It'll be a direction. It'll be say, go away and do stuff, whatever, exercising my powers. I don't sit there and write it in isolation. I always get somebody to look at it because I suck. I know I'm going to make a mistake. I made one, a number of them yesterday. Just think of yourself in terms of typing, how many mistakes you make, in terms of spelling mistakes, and it's just sitting there, and it changes everything. And it happens to me every single day, and I'm not afraid to say that. But that's why we have systems to try and actually compensate for that. So thank you, everybody. Looking forward to today. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, let's have a lot of fun and debrief accordingly afterwards. So thank you. So Justine. Yes, please. All right. So here we go. So as MC, here we go. Okay. So the first person off the rank is Justine McGilvray, Principal Inspector at the Critical Risk Directorate. So that means I get to say whatever I like about her. Justine's come onto directly into the petroleum safety team, but she's also, we use her as a resource of not only petroleum safety, but also major hazards in the dangerous goods world. She's specifically on board to provide a specialist in terms of human factors to the teams. And has been involved now on a number of inspections and audits and things like that. And what she has seen and brought to us has been invaluable. It's meant for us that we have been able to ask questions a lot more and probe a lot more and go beyond the technical questions in terms of please explain the engineering associated with this. And as a result, it's actually been really educational for my guys and girls. But also for the operators, and so you'll be seeing a lot more of her in terms of what's actually happening there. So be afraid, be very afraid. So Justine, handing over.
Thanks, Steve. I'm glad I can see over the podium today. So it's just wonderful to see how many of you are in this room today and also online. I think it's going to be a great day where we can hear about how human factors have been applied to petroleum and major hazard facility operations and share the learning amongst the group. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can integrate human factors into your safety management systems and introducing the newly published critical risk guidance on this topic. So, as I said, today is a celebration of the published guidance that we've on human factors, and it was developed in consultation with stakeholders from petroleum and major hazard facilities and the critical risk inspectors, as well as a review of the evidence-based industry and academic literature. Many of you are in the room today, and I want to thank you for your input into this guidance. It wouldn't have happened without that, so thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just going to... Oh, I was too fast. Hang on. we might have a bit of a lag issue. There we go. So the Human Factors Fundamentals Guide highlights the importance of integrating human factors into safety management systems to reduce the likelihood and outcome of major incident and accident events. Many operators are already taking human factors into consideration without making an explicit link to safety. To support operators in identifying and integrating human factors, an overview of human factors topics, performance shaping factors, and managing human performance is provided. It's not the purpose of the guide to make everyone an expert in human factors. Rather, it's to enable you to consider how human factors might be applied and recognise how multiple conditions throughout your system can affect safety performance during day-to-day operations. The guide sits alongside the self-assessment tool, and operators can use this self-assessment tool to identify your current strengths and opportunities for improvement in integrating human factors into your safety management systems. And we've provided this guidance on your USB to in-house attendees, as well as we've emailed it to the webinar participants. You should also receive or have in front of you the forum participant booklet, which provides an overview of human factors, some examples of where you can begin, and an action plan and a resources list. And we've also provided space for you to take any notes. I'm sure you'll have a lot of things you want to write down from today. So before I get started on talking about how human factors can be integrated into safety management systems, it's important we establish what we mean by human factors in a safety context. And that way we're all on the same starting point. So as Steve mentioned, human factors is an established science that includes tools, principles and methodologies that aim to understand the human condition and better design work to improve reliability, safety and performance. As human factors is a systems approach with people at the centre of the system, it focuses on understanding how human performance is shaped by conditions within that system. We apply it to process safety by recognising that the relationships and interactions between the three components of the system contribute to the likelihood and outcome of major incidents and accident events. And these components are organisational related, job related and individual related. That is the environment in which people are working and its attributes, what tasks are people being asked to do and the characteristics of those tasks, and who is doing the tasks and their competence. And by understanding that it's a systems approach, we can design the system, work and equipment to support human performance and make it easier for people to do the right thing. So integrating human factors into safety management systems doesn't mean creating a new standalone section in your existing documentation. It might be a relief to some of you. Within existing document components of your safety management system, you actually can demonstrate how human factors has been applied or considered to manage risk by using or providing a description of how the design of systems, work and equipment support human performance. So in your folders today and for webinar participants at home, this has been emailed. I provided examples on this handout of where human factors can be integrated into your safety management systems. So there's one for petroleum and one for major hazard facilities. And as you can see, human factors can and should be integrated throughout your safety management system. However, I understand that when you look at this, you can see that there's many, many areas where you can integrate human factors. So to make it easier for you, I've highlighted in orange the potential areas you might want to focus your efforts on in the next 12 months. And I identified these focus areas from my visits to site with operators, reviews of operator incident investigation reports, and a review of industry and academic literature over the last 12 months. So, first area, employee selection, competency and training. Here you probably maybe want to focus your efforts on selection and training of safety critical personnel and for safety critical tasks. With hazard identification and risk management, you may wish to focus on how you consider human factors in the prevention, detection, control, and mitigation of major accident, incident, and events to reduce the risk to as low as reasonably practicable. For management of change, I suggest you focus your efforts on safety critical communications and procedures used to manage change, such as your permit to work systems. For the purchasing and control of materials and services, here you might want to look at how you develop procedures that can consider human factors in the design and procurement of systems, equipment and machinery so that their usability meets your are fit for purpose. With your safe operating procedures, I suggest you look at your job and task design, how usable your procedures are, and the training and competence of the people who do the jobs. And for your maintenance, inspection, testing and monitoring, you may want to focus on providing training to enable human factors to be considered as part of incident investigation and developing and maintaining a learning culture so there is a no blame approach to incident investigation. So those are the key focus areas for the next 12 months you may want to consider if you're looking at starting to integrate human factors into your safety management system. Similarly, when you submit your safety case or your safety report to DMIRS, you don't need to create a separate standalone section for human factors. So let's take a closer look at hazard identification and risk management of major accident and incident events and how you might describe this in your safety report or safety case. So in this section, you may wish to describe how human factors are considered in the design of systems, work and equipment to prevent, detect, control and mitigate major accidents and incident events. For example, you may wish to describe to us how safety critical tasks where human intervention acts as a barrier or a defence are identified, including identifying performance shaping factors, potential human errors and controls to reduce the risk of by supporting the desired human performance. Okay, so let's discuss some ideas of how you can start. Not everyone is at the same starting point in this room. Keep in mind where your organisation starts may be different to other people, and where you choose to start and what you focus on obviously needs to be fit for purpose. Accommodate your resources and the size of your operations and the nature of your risks. So a good starting point is to assess your current state. So you may wish to do this by reviewing a sample of your previous near misses, major accident and incident events, and successful completion of work. So what went well and what do you want to do more of? And the purpose of this is to identify opportunities and error traps to improve the design of the systems and work and to enhance the conditions to support the desired human performance. Or you may wish to start with conducting an assessment or a stock take of the current level of human factors integration, organisational capability and maturity. And many operators have already designed systems of work to enhance safety performance, which have considered human factors, although you just may not be aware of the explicit link. So the critical risk self-assessment tool and associated guidance may assist you with this. This tool sets out areas to consider when integrating human factors into a safety management system. It can be used to identify your strengths and improvement opportunities. And you may wish to customise the tool so that you can add additional areas that are relevant to your workplace. And for this purpose, on our website, we've provided a Word document. The tool can be completed as a whole, or as sections of the tool may be completed as a standalone assessment. There are 10 sections, in total, and with each section aligning to a human factors topic that was previously identified by the resources industry as important. As this tool is only an example, you don't have to use it. There's no obligation to use it. However, we want to make it easier for you as well. There are other tools available, such as the Health and Safety Executive UK Framework for Assessing Human Factor Capability. And this tool uses the same rating scale as the Health and Safety UK framework. So this is where we're asking you to assess your current level of human factors integration, and the scale ranges from initial capability and maturity, in which the consideration of human factors is probably quite ad hoc and usually only as a response to an incident, to 5, where you've got optimised capability and maturity, you've got a strong organisational commitment that goes beyond our minimum regulator expectations, and human factors processes are well integrated throughout the entire systems. So we've got a poll coming up before our break, and I'm going to ask you to consider, where do you think your organisation is? So keep that in mind. You'll be given the scale as well when we ask you to do the poll. So while we've provided the self-assessment tool, it is your responsibility to determine the most suitable method to use. Some operators have already developed their own in-house tools, so that might be an option for you as well. Following on from the assessment stage, you can identify your desired state. So where do you want to be? And how will your organisation achieve it? As this is a journey through the stages, as you've heard Steve say many times, I recommend you aim for the next level up. Don't try and go for the top of the pyramid just yet. To do this, you might want to develop a human factors integration plan, which is essentially a business case with measurable actions where you outline what you're going to do by when. It's a plan that's endorsed by senior leadership, and you can use the things you identify in the self-assessment tool as your action plans. You might want to consider appointing a project sponsor or a champion who has the decision-making at a senior level. They will also visibly support your project and can help you overcome any hurdles or challenges. And of course, because there's so many areas where human factors can be integrated, I recommend you prioritise your actions based on the safety criticality. So don't try and do everything at once. You may want to start with the safety critical controls and tasks which rely on human intervention or performance as a barrier. Or you may like to use this sheet we've provided in your booklets today, and has been emailed to the webinar participants. You can use this action plan to write down ideas from today's forum on the things you want to start, the things you will stop, and the things you will continue to do. So have a think about the case studies that are presented to you today and see if there's anything you would like to do in your organisation. All the critical risk resources are available on the web addresses on the screen here and have been provided to you, as I said, on USB. So, in summary, human factors can and should be integrated into your safety management systems. We've provided some tools to help you start you along this journey. And I want to thank everyone and ask you, hopefully you enjoy today, and make the most of this opportunity to share your learnings and to build your human factors network around the room. If you do have any questions, please put them through to Slido and we'll ask them at the Q&A panel session at the end. Thank you.